Well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I know it's been a minute since you've seen me, but I thought I would pop in. And today we're going to work with the Bloom Where You're Planted suite, which thankfully will not be retiring. It will be actually carrying over to the brand new 2022-23 annual catalog. Hey Jill, hey Sherry, thank you guys for joining me today. Now, it's been a minute or so since I've been on here, but I thought what I would show you is I really liked this stamp set. It actually has coordinating dies, and it also has paper. Now, the paper, unfortunately, will be retiring because it's very rare that they actually carry the paper over, but the paper is really pretty, and there are a couple really great ideas for this paper as well. One of the cooler parts is you can actually use the die, or the dies, as you see here, to cut out the different pots. So that kind of saves you a little work if you want to save a little bit of die cutting. You can use these. There's several of them that will fit there, and even this little doodad here, which is pretty cool. And then you can always do some overlays. When this set first came out, I actually showed you another way to use the, hold on, I'm going to pull it so you know what it is here. It's kind of like a background lattice. It's super duper thin, so one side is brown. Actually, both sides are brown. What I ended up doing was I used white craft ink to dye it. So you could also use white embossing powder if you wanted to. You could color it darker if you wanted to. Kind of just depends. Oh, thanks, Kay. That was so nice of you. You were just thinking about me. Hopefully happy thoughts. I know it's been a little bit crazy with life, and sometimes you just can't fit stuff in. You only have so many hours in the day. I'm sure everyone here with children or people without children just realize it's like time just gets away from you. So one reason I popped on here today is a lot of times, I don't know if this happens to you, but specifically with this 4x6 paper, and this was I cannot remember what this was. It was a very eclectic paper set. Now, I will say fortunately, which sounds kind of terrible, but I only did a DSP sample. It's very reminiscent of the 80s, which I do like, but I just find it very difficult to work with this color grouping. So actually, the nice part is the other side is pretty neutral and calm. So I thought a great idea would be to kind of use it like they did here for some of the backgrounds. So I thought maybe we could make a card and use this for one of the backgrounds. I did see another really cool card that actually had this paper here. So this is from the suite. And that would be, in case you don't have it, it's this paper up here. This is going to be selling out if it hasn't already. It may actually have sold out already. But again, luckily, the stamps and the dies will be carrying over. If you give me 1 second, I'm going to see if they probably don't have a bundle price any longer. No. So if you want to get these now, you actually will save 10% if you buy the dies and the stamps together. They both will carry into the catalog, but it will no longer be at a bundle price. So this is the new catalog. If you are a customer of mine who has shopped within the past year, you will get a copy of this mailed to you. I think I mailed out about 30 of them. I know I haven't been on here as much recently, but I was back in, I guess it was like January and prior to that. So if you shopped with me then, you absolutely will get a catalog. All of my Stamp Club people will get a catalog as well. And if you are a team member of mine, you will be getting a catalog copy. I believe it is within the next 2 weeks or so. If not, it should be coming shortly thereafter. So, hi Karen. So anyway, this is it. This is the back. It's a really nice catalog. I wish I could show you the inside. I will tell you that I did order the new in colors. Oh, I can show you those. I didn't get them yet, but I'll show you a little sneak peek. They're really pretty colors. I'm sure you've seen that on the Facebook page. But the colors are, and hopefully my printer, they printed better than the last time. Sweet Sorbet, which I kind of originally thought was kind of like Watermelon Wonder, but when you actually look at it, it's more of a combination of poppy and watermelon. It's definitely more of a reddy pink, not so much of a purple pink, if that makes sense. Parakeet Party definitely looks like a much deeper green. It's not like Lemon Lime Twist. I mean, it's definitely got more color to it. And it looks like it's a completely different shade than Granny Apple. So it kind of looks a little bit darker. I can't wait to get them, because then what we can do is we can kind of compare them between the ones that we have. and that way it can give you a better idea. The one I'm really looking forward to is Tahitian Tide, which seems slightly reminiscent of, I'm gonna just pull it out here. Oops, I should have done this ahead of time, but you guys know how I work. If you've been with me before, you know I'm very spur of the moment. I kind of thought it would look like Tempting Turquoise, but it's definitely a darker shade. I really like the blueness of it. It seems like a nice deep color, and honestly, it is kind of like a color we're missing, which is really good. And it's definitely much lighter than Blueberry Bushel, which was here a while ago. It's not comparable at all, Misty Moonlight. That one is actually retiring, Misty Moonlight, and being honest with you, the only one I'm really going to miss out of that is just Jade. That was probably my favorite of the in colors that are going to be retiring, but I didn't really use the Cinnamon Cider. I know a lot of people like the Bumblebee, but it was kind of almost too dark of a yellow. The Starry Sky is also a blue, but it seems like it's more of a, if you guys remember, we had not quite navy, which was kind of a strange color blue. This seems like a much deeper hued blue. So it's lighter than Night of Navy, but significantly darker and not as bright as Pacific Point. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the Starry Sky in person. And then Orchid Oasis, I know it's very difficult to tell on here, but it's really much more of a purpley blue. So I think with these colors together, I'm really excited to see it. And then I'm also excited to be able to have these and our current colors, because I think the Pale Papaya with maybe the Tahitian and the Parakeet will look pretty, or the Papaya and the Starry and the Orchid. So I'm really, really looking forward to these. So these are going to go onto the website. And what I'll do is I'll put them as a download. It's probably a little bit easier if you make sure when you print these that you have fresh ink. But also what you could do is just save them as a PDF so you can look at them. You can kind of pop them up on your iPad or whatever it is if you make cards that way, because it will give you a little bit truer of a color. But we have lots of products, which is really fun. So we'll have lots of inks, stamp pads. So I got all the stamp pads, the Stampin' Blends, the markers. I did get the In Color DSP, which I'm not usually one that gets that, but the patterns were a little bit pretty, so I like that. I did get the paper. I got the twine and the dots and the glimmer paper. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now my order, of course, I didn't expedite it, so it's probably not going to come until most likely, though not this week, the week after that. But I'm still excited to see all those colors in person, because, you know, when you look at it online, first of all, before I even had the catalog, when I looked at it online, I was like, oh, I really like these colors. However, you know, when you look at it on a computer versus you actually get to open the book and look at it, and I was like, wow. So right now, I really wish I could open the book and show you guys, because the colors are they are really so true. It's really, really beautiful how vivid they are. You can really get a great glimpse of them. So when you get your new catalog, if you're a customer of mine, page 138 gives you a really big full picture, because they have a lot of rosettes, which, if you remember quite a while ago, I tried to cut some of those out, and that turned into like an epic fail, which was kind of hilarious. That was, I think, one of my first videos that I did, which was really, really funny. But anyway, so we're going to try to make a few of these cards today. I think what I'm going to do is I have one idea to use with the larger tropical print here. But the other thing I wanted to do was maybe to use one of these as a background. So you can see they kind of lay this out as a background. This paper is also a weird size. It's 4x6. Which is a different kind of a size for Stampin' Up! To use. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this or this. I'm not really sure which one I'm going to use yet. But these both use just jade, and that was kind of one of the main colors I wanted to use. Just jade, and then I think I'm going to use Evening Evergreen, because it'll be a little bit darker with it. And we're going to do some plants. The other thing I thought would be kind of neat is, instead of cutting out the pots, which we could cut them out of the paper, which will make it super simple. What if we actually cut them out of the Pale Papaya, and then we use the Cinnamon Cider ink just to add a little bit of shading to it? So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut a couple of these out, and that way we'll have a little bit to work with, and then we'll work with our pots. So still using my Big Shot, old reliable, and I'm going to cut out, I'm going to do a couple different ones. I'm going to do a round pot, and then we're going to do a couple different plants as well. Do a regular pot, I think I'm even going to do one of these. I'm going to go, I think that's going to be it for now. We're going to just do that for now. I'm going to cut these 3 out, and then we'll do a little bit of color adding with those. So the one part that is nice about this paper, or the DSP I should say, is if you use it, it's kind of nice because you already have these pots, so it can kind of cut down, but you also can cut out some of the flowers too, which makes it helpful. So again, I did that in Pale Papaya. And then I'm going to move this out of the way. Have those here. Just pop these out. Come on. There you go. That'll be for one. I'm just going to slide that over for a minute. And then I have my cinnamon cider ink. So this is a brownish color. And for me, it's kind of a difficult color to categorize. So that's why I'm kind of like ish. It's not really brown. It's kind of one of those unusual colors. We do have a few of those. So I'm just using my blending brush. I'm just going to pick up some ink, and I don't really want to oversaturate it. So I'm going to try to keep my fingers really loose when I use this. Just kind of go add a little bit of shading. And then when I do the bigger pot, I'll do a little bit more. So there's just a little bit of shading for that one. Now you could still, and I'll show you this in a moment. So I'm going to be a little bit heavier with this one. So with this one, I'm going to actually grab the top of it. So it kind of depends on what you want to do with your blending, on how much ink you want on there. So this one I have a little bit heavier, okay? But the other thing you can do is with your sponge dauber, if you really want to get color concentrated in one area, and actually let me pick up one that's got a little bit more. No, that's purple. Go with this one. Now we don't carry these any longer, but you can pretty much get them anywhere. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of ink. And if you want this a little bit heavier, kind of roll onto the edge. These are also really nice if you want to take the edge of your paper and kind of change the color. So you can add a lot of shading to it, just like that. So again, I'm still kind of trying to keep it so it's more one-sided. The only thing you have to be careful, and you can see I just did it there, when you touch something with this circle, it will give you a dot, which is kind of hard to get rid of unless you're really going to overblend it. So you want to make sure you really start off of the paper. And I'm going to do one more thing. I'm just going to do my blender brush one more time just to kind of smooth that color out a little bit. So you really have to be, that is one of the things about the daubers. They're not really super forgiving when it comes to their circular shape. So I really have grown to love the blender brushes because they definitely give you a lighter and a softer color blend. A little bit more at the bottom. And then with this one, I'm just going to kind of go over the whole thing in general. I don't know, we had spring last week in Maryland, but now it seems we're back to winter again. It's supposed to be about 30. I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but we had our first fake spring preview, and now we're back to stinky weather again. I'm just going to grab my dauber, and I just want to grab a little bit more at the top here. Just add a little bit of color. Okay, so there are those 3. And I'm going to put this to the side. Exactly. Why buy a new one? Perfectly good reasoning, Sharon. That is exactly my thoughts. So I'm going to grab a few of these plants, and I'm just going to grab a big scrap of my white, and we're going to kind of decide what we want to do. So if I am correct, this one, my grandmother gave me one of these, I think, when I first moved into my townhouse, and I think I killed it almost instantly. I think I'm going to add in one more color too. I'm going to do some shaded spruce because I knew this is a brighter one. But this is called, oops, there's a dog hair, Mother-in-Law's Tongue. Apparently I killed the mother-in-law's tongue before I even had the mother-in-law, which is kind of funny. But these also are the distinctive stamps, so they're going to give you much more depth when you stamp them. If you notice that for some reason you still don't really love how it looks, there's one other trick you can still try. I'm just going to clean this off. And normally I would clean it with a wet one, but we're doing, honestly, I wasn't even going to do a video today, but I came upstairs and I decided I wanted to stamp with friends. So here we are. So I'm going to add a little Versamark, and mine is stained, but that doesn't really bother me because I very rarely emboss on anything white. And then I'm going to ink it in the shaded spruce, right? That's what I said? Yep. So I'm going to stamp it right next to it. And sometimes that will give you a little bit better inking. Now, it's not really super dark, but you can tell it filled the color in a little bit more down there. So that's another thing you can do if you ever have a photopolymer, and it's specifically with photopolymer stamps. If you ever have one, you're kind of like, it's just not inking the way you think it should, add a little Versamark first. Sometimes that helps. I'm going to grab this large, I don't know what this one's called. Peace Lily, that's it. I had one of these as well. That one didn't live very long. I seem to do much better with the really big palms. And I was so proud of myself. I had a beautiful fiddle leaf fig that I actually brought in 2 years in a row, and it finally croaked probably within the past month, which really made me sad because I carried that thing in and out of the house. I potted it. Oh my gosh, heartbreaking. All right, so I have Garden Green, and this one looks like it might need to be re-inked, so I might need to, yeah, I'm going to do a little inking on this one. It's funny how much, like, at the same time you realize that your inks really need to be re-inked. It seems like it's all of a sudden that they all need to be re-inked at the same time. I don't know if it's because I just got through winter. And the crazy part is when you ink this and you can tell that it's just sucking the stuff right in immediately, then you realize how low it probably really was in the first place. This is actually one of the pads I need to replace because this one got broken at Stamp Club probably about a year ago, but you know, I was gimping along with my broken hinge here. So I might have to break down and invest in one. In case you've never re-inked a pad before, these are the foam pads, so they do re-ink a little bit differently. So just in case you've never done it, I keep my handy dandy plastic spoon. I use this for every color except for white. I just clean it off afterwards. And what I do is I just press the ink down into there to kind of smooth it out so it's a little bit more even. And then another tip for you, when you have a brand new ink pad, so say, for example, this ink pad was brand new and it was really wet and you're getting really wet images, you can actually use your sponge to move the ink over some. So it kind of moves it onto one side so that way you're not picking up the ink. And then this spot will be a little bit nicer to stamp with. So that's just another quick tip for you. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm just going to add the Versamark. We'll see how this one looks, if it's a little better. And let's see. Definitely darker on the pad. Oh, Donna, you're so funny. If it doesn't ask to be fed, you don't have it. All right, so that definitely looks much better. But again, the ink does need to settle a little bit in this. So you can see right here, here's my gimpy pad. I probably need to break down and get a new one. And I'm going to do one in Just Jade. And I'm going to do the taller one in Just Jade. Same thing again, too. If you have something that's not really stamping well, another idea, and I'm just going to move this to the side so I can show you, is cleaning it. Because quite honestly, I'm not always the best at cleaning my stamps. So a lot of times, if you clean your stamp, you will not believe, and your block for that matter, you'll not believe how much better they work. Without the fuzzies and the dog hairs and the residual ink from 4 crafts ago. There we go. All right, so I'm going to do this again with Versamark. And then what we'll do is I'll just cut all these out at the same time. And then I had Just Jade, and I'm going to do a couple of these. We can maybe use this for our other one. Nice. Yes, pretty much everything is going up in price. So that is 100% true. Thank you for mentioning that. So I would remember to mention it. Most things went up by like a quarter, which I guess really over the amount of time isn't that bad considering what everything else is. But I think the other main thing that you really, and just is a good reminder to tell people about, is that the shipping increased as of Friday, April 1st. So to pay for my order to come, minimum shipping is now $7.95. So instead of 10%, it's 11%. So that kind of stinks, but I guess unfortunately the price of everything is going up, right? Which, you know, I don't really have I don't have too much nice to say, so I don't really know what to say. So I'm just going to not say anything. I think that's what my mom told me. You don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. So we'll do one of these little dudes. We'll do one more just for the heck of it. Now, another thing is, these don't necessarily have to be green. You can also do this as a flowery kind of thing if you wanted to. So I'm going to move all of these over, stack them all up. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to put all these on. We're going to do a little bit of die cutting, and then we'll put a couple of these cards together. Hopefully the colors I picked and the background aren't going to look too ridiculous. We will see, though, I guess, right in time. All right, let me grab my Post-it tape just so I can keep these kind of relatively in place. So this morning, we had the joy of going to get our taxes done. Who else aside from me absolutely despises going to get their taxes done? I mean, obviously, I know we all have to pay taxes, but my goodness, just going through the thing where it's like you feel like you're trying to get away with something when really, in all honesty, I don't want to be there. And I'm, you know, the lady is nice. We've had different people over the years, but my Lord, that has to be one of the most stressful things to me. Every time it gives me a headache. And I feel like no matter how organized I am, and y'all know I am super not organized, I never feel like I have all the papers I need. I'm always like printing or pulling something at the last minute. Holy cow, I hate going for taxes. Oh my gosh. So we're going to cut all this, and then what I'll do is put these back on and just cut them again. So it's kind of nice to stamp two of them because we could use them for other things. And if anyone is a tax professional on here and they have to do people's taxes for a living, all I have to say is I'm really sorry for you, because that must really suck. Because, man, just the stress of having to deal with people. And you know, the thing is, I guess I was thinking to myself this morning, maybe it's just the fact of I am Catholic, grew up Catholic, and I always worry about everything. So maybe if I was a person that was trying to get away with stuff, none of this would bother me. So that's why I was kind of trying to make myself feel a little bit better. And I was like, well, maybe it just bothers you so much because you're a good person who tries to do the right thing. So that's how I justified myself having a headache this morning over going to get my taxes done. Lord, something. So, and we don't owe. So, I mean, that is one good thing. So, it's not like we have to pay. So, I'm really not complaining about it. It's just the going through the steps of having to get it done. Holy moly. Hey, Fran. How's it going with Jupiter? I saw your pictures. Fran's daughter got a, I shouldn't say puppy, but I guess Jupiter still is a puppy, but a helper dog, which is really amazing. Pretty cool. Mary's got a new friend. I'm sure they'll both be exhausting each other, and Fran's going to need a vacation. Because let me tell you, Rainbow Stamper has still yet to pick up a poo. He said he was waiting for winter to do it. Winter came and went. He still hasn't picked up a poo. Okay, let me grab this. Let's see what we're going to do. I feel like I'm going to need a few more pots, but I was trying to make it so we had more than one plant in the plant, and I'm going to show you why. If you see this here, this plant has like a couple different things layered together. They actually use this, and believe it or not, I didn't even know this is what this is for. It does have a little slit cut in here, so you can actually fit, just like, we'll say, for example, this. You can fit this down in here. So that's kind of neat. So we're gonna try and do something like that. So I'm just looking real quick over here. What was it that I had? That was in a pot in a stand. So I think I'm gonna die cut. I'm gonna die cut something out of this because I feel like I'm gonna need something just a little bit darker to break it up. So I think, where's my other one that I already cut from? Oh, here we go. I'm gonna cut this, and I'm gonna cut one of each of them out just for the heck of it. That way we have a little bit more pottage to work with, And then we don't use it, we don't use it. So I'm just going to run those through real quick. She's 10 months. Okay. I was going to say, I knew she was kind of still small, but she is a big dog considering she's small, but she's a golden doodle, so they are a little bit bigger as it is. And I was going to say, oh, I'll cut this out as a gray plant. No, Rachel, that's just the embossing plates that are all scraped up. Silly. All right, let me grab this. You said Jared got poop duty. Yeah, that sounds about right. And the worst isn't even the poop duty. The worst is when you have to take the bag around to the trash for the trash men. Because then you get like the juice in there and everything. And I know there's probably some people like, all right, Rachel, that's enough. But man, that is love right there. Cleaning up the dog's duty. But the dog does follow me around like I'm his mother. So, I mean, he does. He definitely does love me a lot. But I love him too. He is a cutie. He's big. He's 87 pounds now. So he's kind of like a giant. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to put this in here for one of them. And then we'll build some plants in there. So we're going to kind of follow the model of this one. And they do have this little shelf here, which is kind of cute. So I'm going to cut a little piece of... Actually, I might have a piece of cinnamon cider. Yeah, look, there's a little strip right here. We're going to use that little strip of cinnamon cider. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add one more thing to this. Since I have my little sponge here, I'm going to grab my cinnamon cider. I'm just going to, yeah, he is big. It's funny, we don't realize how big he is until other people are like, oh my gosh, he's huge. When did that happen? And we're like, oh yeah, I guess he is kind of big. Just going to add a little bit to the bottom. But we did have to take him to training because he was being a little too rough with Christian. So he's learning to be a better dog. That's all I have to say. So I think what I'm going to do, because we have a lot of brown and I don't want it to be like overbearingly brown, is I think I'm going to put it onto crumb cake for the background card. And then we will bring a lighter piece in, either the dots or the ombre piece. And I'm going to go 4 1/4. I'm just going to score. And then we'll cut. And we'll use the same color for both. So we'll make our other card out of this one as well. I just don't know what we're going to do yet. And then I think I would have liked to have done this if I would have done it as a vertical card. But if we go this way, maybe we'll do our other card as vertical. So I'm going to do this one. So this is 4. I'm just going to cut this down to 5 1/4. So remember the other side of this one I think is called abstract. It's kind of crazy. So this is definitely the much nicer side for me for this. And before I, let's see if this is going to fit. Oh, that'll fit on there perfectly. All right. So this is going to be our base. It's going to be what we're going to do. And then we're going to kind of arrange the plants on here. And then we will add our sentiment. So the crumb cake is the base. And let me just hit this. And put some liquid glue. Oh, when she slept, I saw that. That was so cute. Jupiter has officially moved into her new forever home. Oh, that's so cute. I bet your daughter is so happy. Mary was making liver treats, right? You know she is committed. That's probably how you could tell the level of commitment, right, Fran? You cleaned Jared's butt. That's hilarious. I feel bad. You know what? I feel bad for the trash men in like August. Because that, whew, I thought it was bad when you had dirty diapers, but man, 80-degree dog poop is a real stinker. All right, so there is that. And let's see what we're going to do for this. We have this one. I'm going to go with that one. And, oh, you know the other thing you could do. Now, I just want to tell you this. I didn't do this, but this is something you could do. If you use a really light background paper, instead of stamping this and die cutting, you could actually even stamp something on the background. So where you knew you were going to put your plant, you could stamp something. So we'll go like this. And let's see, what else do we have here? I know these probably aren't plants that would go together, but... And I'm going to do one more little thing real quick. I want to grab my Just Jade. I just want to add a little bit of something to this. I'm going to grab a a clean-ish brush. So I kind of go with these blending brushes in like family colors. So I don't want too much, but I just want to add just a little bit of jade to this. All right. So you can even put these so they're kind of like going around for one. Close this up for now. We have this one here, which will build up. So we'll kind of do like a mock-up of what they have here. So we have this. I'm actually going to use the darker one. And this. Put that in there too. And then we'll use... I don't want to keep using that. Let's see. I feel like I'm going to move this one over. And then I'm going to break it up in the middle with the pre-die cut one here. And then this. It's almost like it's a little bit too. Nah, we're going to make it work. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to just put this down, then we're going to add a sentiment to this. If you wanted to, you could always add something else to this, even in the front or like in the back if you wanted to. It kind of just depends. Because, you know, some plants, with some planters, depending on who you are, if you are Martha Stewart, I'm always one of those people that like those little gardens. You know, you might have more than one plant inside of something else here. So remember, you can do whatever you want because it's your thing. But I feel like that's going to be too much. So I'm going to go with just this. We're going to put this one over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the front. And I'm actually going to pop some of these up on dimensionals just to give them a little bit extra. So I put glue here. So I'm going to put this. These are going to go in the back. This is going to go in the front just to anchor it. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back. This one, same. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here. Put this right there. Looks pretty good. If you wanted to, the other thing you can do, you know what, I'll do this now, just since I have this here with this little, I'm just going to add a little bit of darkening to the bottom. So this one's hooked together. I just have to do this one. And I'm going to put just a tiny bit of glue right here, because this is going to go through this loop. So it'll stay just like that. There's just a little bit of glue there, not very much. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue. And this would be a great time for you to pull out your silicone mat, but mine is buried underneath something, so I'm not going to do that right now. We're going to put this one here. Just hold it for a second. And this one, I think I was just like having a flashback because I hear the dog sniffing at the door. Didn't I pick him up last year and show you guys? I couldn't even pick this dog up now if I wanted to. He is that big, and I am not strong. So there's our other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip all these over. So these I'm not using. Let me move these to the side. I'm going to flip these over. We're going to put some dimensionals on the back, and then we're going to put them together. I'm going to just, most of this is dark for the sake of it, except for this one. And we're going to not anchor the bottom. I'm just going to anchor the top. I'm going to use mini dimensionals because I have a bunch on leaves. Plus it'll kind of help hold some of the pieces together. So like when I have where the two pieces are together, a little dimensional will kind of hold it in place. And then same for this one because I want something small on the side. Oops. And then I'm going to use a bigger dimensional for the other pieces. And this, I'm going to put them on the, I feel like it's ears of this kind of plant. It's not really ears, but you know what I mean. And then we'll use some bigger ones. 1, 2. 1. I'm going to put this one on the cross beam there to hold that in place, and one right here. And then we should be good. All right, I think that's pretty good. Just going through those. Okay, so now all we're going to do is we're just going to put this back where we had it. Just make sure we kind of like where we put everything. And see, I liked this one because it's bigger, but then I feel like we have too much with the peachy. So I think I'm going to go, we're going to see if it's better this way. No, I'm going to go back to this side. All right, so I'm going to just take off my backings and put all these on. Yes, I remember you. That's hilarious. How you doing, Francis? Thank you. Yeah, he is a bit, well, he's also a lab shepherd mix. So, you know, he's got big genes all around. And he's got a big butt too. But he's a sweet, sweet dog. He's still so much a puppy too. If you see the way he jumps around on things, like with the ball, he loves chasing the ball. He's actually like a little crazy, obsessed with the ball. But he pounces on it still, which is just adorably cute. He really is a sweet dog. He's a sweet, loyal buddy. And poor Christian, he still's like, when is Jack going to sleep in bed with me? And I said, you have to give him time. He's still, you know, I mean, I know he's been here a long time. We haven't even had him a year yet. But I said, I know it feels like he's been here a really long time. The only other thing I'm going to do, just really quickly, is I'm going to put just a little bit of liquid glue right here with the fine tip, just so this kind of anchors so it doesn't rip off if I ever give this card away. I'm just going to put that on and just hold it for a second. Nice part is it does dry clear, so you won't see it once it's done. But oh my goodness, you're bagging it. Yeah. Well, I have a big trash bag from when I had my other lab, the one I had growing up that moved into my house with me when I finally moved into my own house. And I have a big, ironic brown trash can that I used for dog poop. So it's kind of funny. So it's not really huge. It's probably about 3 feet tall. Maybe not even that tall, but it's a designated poop can. So what if for this one, we'll just do something really simple. We'll just do You Touched My Heart, because that's could be for really anything. What's that one over here? And I do like the fact that they put these stickers on the back, because I guess it depends on the person. All the extra plastic for me was just kind of like more so in the way than anything. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out if I can cut this down without it being too crazy. I'm going to go over here just in case. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp part of it and then stamp the other part so it's all in one line. So it's a thin sentiment, but I'm just going to ink it up part of the time. So if you've never done that before, that's another simple thing you can do. One of two ways. You can either mask this off, or you can do it with your marker instead. So I'm going to attempt to just ink part of it up, and I'm going to see if we can get it to work. So you can either be really careful and try to just ink part of the words. The only thing is you have to make sure you really clean it so you don't still have the dirty words when you're stamping the other stuff. So let's see if I can get this. Oh man, this is my day today. And then nicely, since this is photopolymer, you can just line it right up. Wow, I did a really good job with that. I am very proud of myself. Now, for people who may not have a steady hand, the other thing that you can do that's really simple is one of two things. You can take a Post-it note or Post-it tape. Either one works equally well. And what you do is you just mask off so you would stamp the whole thing. So pick it up like this. And then once you ink it, you take this part off. And then you would do the same thing. Like that. Then you're going to clean the whole thing off again. Okay, and you want to make sure it's clean or else your Post-it won't stick to it. Now, obviously, you're going to have to use a different Post-it, but then you would mask off. You touched and you would just ink that, take that off. So that's an easy way to do it as well, in case you've never done that before. And then I'm going to grab my trimmer. And I'm going to just cut this little slim greeting off. Since I stamped it in the bottom, I actually did it in a line. I am so proud of myself. It's a little bit wider than I would want there with the top, but I don't want to risk trying to trim it off again. So we're just going to do like that. And we're going to put that on with some, I have some little dimensional pieces here, so we'll use that. Just going to trim. Is that big enough? Let's see. This might actually be, yeah, that'll be okay right there. So I'm just trimming off this little end here. And I think that's big enough. So I'm just going to pull this little bottom piece off. That's not exactly what I wanted to do. I was trying to pull it off of there, but I'm going to center this here. And then pull this off. That one piece should stay there. Yep, so then I have that little piece here. And let's see, I haven't really pressed it anywhere. That looks good. We'll just leave it there since that's where we are. So there's a card. Pretty simple. Now, the other one that I was talking about, what you could do, so we're going to do it with this, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to cut this correctly and not botch it up. So let's, everybody cross your fingers. And let me get out the trimmer. So I'm going to try and make this one a little bit simpler. So what we'll do is, so this one, again, we're going with this direction, okay? So remember, we only have, okay, this is 4 1/4, so we're going to want to have a little bit of a border. So if we take it down to 4 for our paper, we're going to take this down to 3 3/4, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. So we're ahead of the game. So 3 3/4. And then, how do I want to do this? I think I'm going to do 1.5 inches. Let's see, 2.5. Let me see what this is looking like so far. 1.5 inches, because I'm going to have a little border. 2.5, and I might have to trim that down to 1 inch. Might have to be 1 1/4 inches. Let me see. Like this. Yeah, that's too big. So I'm going to trim these down. So I'm going to go with 1 inch, just to be on the safe side. So 1 inch. I'm going to take this one down to 1 inch. I'm going to go this way so it kind of at least matches up in case you happen to look at it. All right, so we have 1 inch, 2.5, and 1 inch. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, you can save this and use this for something else. Then what I'm going to do is, and I said I was going to do this with jade. I have it out. Is it out? I have so many things out right now. Yep. Between all the stuff I was pulling out. Oh, this isn't even in the right folder. Stuff I was pulling out and whatnot. Let's see, what does this measure? 4. Oh, you know what? It's close enough. We're just going to use this scrap piece. All right. So then what I'm going to do, because I don't want a huge border, because I don't want it to take up too much. So I had 2.5. I'm going to just do 2 5/8. And I went 1. We'll do 1 1/8. And one more 1 1/8. Okay. All right. Let's see. Good. Good. And good. Okay. Which side is which side here? This goes here. This one goes on this side. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just glue these on. So just make sure I hit this. I'm going to glue these on just as they are. So trying to keep them in order. Oh, thanks, Kiki. That's so nice. What a surprise. You just finished eating dinner. That's so sweet. All right, so here's one. I'm going to tell you, I am going to post these onto my blog, but it's probably going to take me a little bit. I have updated it with, there's some stuff on there with the in colors. As a matter of fact, so if you go to my blog, and I did send this out in my newsletter with the sign up. I sent it out when I had the retiring list for the annual catalog, the current annual catalog. There is a link there for the paper share, the paper and ribbon share for the next catalog. And if you actually go to that link, and you can find this on my blog as well, you actually get to see what the in colors look like, because I have that little, the tropical picture, which you can also see on my Facebook page. But it's kind of nice because then you can actually see what it looks like in real life. Now, granted, on a computer still versus what you're going to see in real life is different. But all right, so that's how we're going to line it up. Okay, so that's going to be our base. The only thing we really want to add now is a sentiment. And I'm trying to think, let's do something that's like a little bit bigger. This one's kind of nice, a little note with the biggest thanks. Let's do that. Where's that? Right here. And these are retiring, and I'm so sad. The stitch so sweetly. So we're going to do this. So I think this will fit pretty nicely. Oh my gosh, if I can get it in there. Yep, we're going to do that one there. So we're just going to stamp this on white. And what do I want to do? Shaded spruce. Nah, that's not the right green. Where's my other green? Here it is. We'll do evening evergreen. I feel like that's the correct green. All right, let me grab one more block. And then the other thing is we could even add one of our little plants to this. Kind of tie it all together. You could add ribbon if you wanted to. I guess it really just depends on what you want to do. All right. Between Stitch So Sweetly and the Tasteful Labels dies, oh my goodness. Those I am definitely going to miss because I love those dies. However, I did order a replacement. So I will show you guys when it comes. It's really nice. It's got a lot of different stuff to use. So that's pretty exciting. Makes you sad because you get used to using the same stuff and you're kind of really, you know, I really like stuff that I use and I buy it because I love it. I'm not one that buys anything just because I'm like, oh, people are going to buy this. So if you're new here, that's definitely not me. Let's see. We do this. We'll do these two, this, and I'm going to do just a little bit of some sort of ribbon. I don't really know what. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Actually, maybe I'll do it this way instead. So putting this through here. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to put these two together like that. And I'm going to flip it. And then I'm going to hook it on there with a dimensional. All right, where did my little stack go? Okay. So these right there. Put a couple more on here. Oh, dog's getting yelled at. I can hear it. And he's not really getting yelled at. It's just that he doesn't want to hang out with Christian. And he's up here sitting outside the door. And Christian's probably like, why won't you come down here? All right, so I'm going to glue these down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the outside two on first. So I'm kind of like eyeballing my edging. And then we'll line the middle one in. And like that. Put this on. And these are kind of like, I just kind of winged it with the measurements for these. Because sometimes if you're really measuring, it almost makes it like it's more difficult than you think it's going to be. So we'll do that. That looks cute. All right. I'm going to keep this flat. I'm not going to pop this up. And honestly, I don't really think we even need any ribbon. You probably could add something if you wanted to, but we don't have to. There you go. Cute. Just got to find my pin for this because if I don't plug it up, I'll get a goop stick at the top. There we go. So, where's my other card? Rach, where'd you put your other card? Here it is. And here's my other dimensionals I was searching for. So 2 cute cards. Again, this one doesn't use anything that's even remotely related to the stamp set. Let's see if I can find what the name of that is. I know I have the... It's the... that's not it either. That's not it. Here it is. I believe. The Abstract Beauty. So the Abstract Beauty is that weird grouping of very 80s inspired DSP. This is the, hold on, I'm losing my train of thought. The Plentiful Plants. There's some more extra stuff over there. So this was actually 12 by 12 DSP. The Artfully Abstract Beauty, I'm sorry, is 4 by 6. That's kind of a weird combo. Bloom Where You're Planted is this one. Abstract Beauty is this one. This is the one that had like the pink and the black and all those crazy colors on it. But you can use the other side because the other one that was that ombre pattern was also very pretty. However, would I get it just for that? Probably not. So I'm just trying to help you find ways in case you might have some to be able to use it up. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this today as much as I have, because I absolutely have. Thank you so very much for joining me. Spur of the moment. No advertisement needed. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you have any questions about any of the stuff that we used today, or suggestions, aside from me trying to go live more than once every 6 months, just kidding, I will try more, just let me know. Otherwise, I will get all this posted on my blog as soon as I have some free time. And I will see you guys again, hopefully really soon. But just remember, another thing is, if you're looking for something to do, take colors you already have. Either try your daubers, try your blenders, you know, just try something to add a little different bit of color to them. Because, I mean, this is papaya. Who would have thought that that would have looked good? But it kind of does look really like a realistic plant base, just because. And also, the nice part about the Bloom Where You're Planted DSP, it does have the little pots in it. So that kind of makes it easier for you to cut stuff out. So you can just, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. So if you had this one, the 12 by 12, there's plenty of stuff there. There's another really nice background here using the bricks, which is also an idea in the catalog as well. So lots of ideas in there. Just peruse through your catalog if you're stumped or you're having a hard time, and maybe, you know, you'll find a new idea. Or even if, for example, this is what I do a lot of times. I'll look at a layout and maybe I don't necessarily have the stamp set. Now, granted, plants are a little bit hard to replicate, but you probably have something with flowers. But just thinking about using the different stuff and like, okay, how can I incorporate something different into that? So you page through here and you're like, okay, so if I have something tall, a little bit of brush on the bottom and a sentiment. So you can use the layout, just maybe change up the stamp set. Same thing with this. This is that same DSP in the background. So you can see. This is here. This, I just happened to turn to this page. This is a complete coincidence and quite lucky on my end. But, you know, they have the DSP, they have a little piece of groundwork, and then they have the deer. I mean, just using bits and pieces of different stuff. But often I will go through the catalog, or even on Google Images or Pinterest, and I'll look at something. Like, I love this layout with the side piece and then something in the middle. Another one that I think is really, really cool is if you just stamp stamps just on the one side. And you can actually take a card, you could take a whole card, stamp it, cut it in half, glue half of it to the front. Just something about the, it's not symmetrical, the asymmetrical stamping. I really like that. I think it's really cool. But there's so many different layout ideas. If you're really stumped for something, just peek through the catalog. This is one I'm really sad is retiring. I'm really happy this is carrying over, the Bamboo Beauty. But in the new catalog, there's a really, really cool idea for that. So I'm going to share that with you guys soon, because since I can't show you, I figure I can at least make some of the new cards out of there, and I can show you ideas without actually showing you the catalog. I think we've done that once before. But thank you guys very much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you all again really soon. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend and a beautiful week wherever you are. Thank you so much for watching.